stretch my hand to thee. No, no
Hey, 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 family. Welcome back to the Hall of Wisdom. We know that if you joined us last week, that you have already been waiting with tiptoe anticipation for part 2 of the sermon that we started last week, which was entitled The Makings of a Life-Changing Moment. So stay tuned. We have part 2 for you, and you already know Bishop Hall is ready to try his wings. So stay tuned for the next few minutes as we present part 2 of The Makings of a Life-Changing Moment with the late, great Bishop Stephen B. Hall. Be blessed.
Okay, can I tell you this? Show me your extreme interest, and I will predict your future. See, I've discovered that everybody has an extreme interest. The question is, what is it? Okay, so that's thing number one. If you're going to have a life-changing moment, you've got to have extreme interest. But here is the thing that people don't understand. Life-changing moments don't come without, number two, existing issues. I'm putting my weight on here right here. Put my weight on right here. Because deliver me from this new church that believes that everything and everybody ought to be perfect and issue free. And deliver me from this new church who, once they find out your issue, use it to beat you to death with. See now, the conflict that I have, Chan, and I believe you have it as well. The conflict that I have is that chronologically I am in one age and stage, while from a church perspective, Beck, I am in another age and stage, because there's at least 3 of us as I scan the room in here tonight, 4 of us as I scan the room. If I keep looking, I might find 5. There's 5. There are some of us in here that's not just in church, not just in ministry, not just preachers, but we were raised in preachers' households. And so therefore, we are confused when, that's 6 right there. We are confused when we remember how church folk used to act. And look at how they act now. And what's confusing is they didn't have theological training. They didn't know the arguments of the Isaiahs and eschatology. They did not know all of this other stuff. But this is what they did know. They understood that if I love people, I'm acting like Jesus. And if I hate people, I'm acting like the devil. And here's another thing they understood. If I love you even when you're wrong. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here, but I messed around and just got to the age where I just say what I need to say. I used to try to figure out a nice way to say it and all that kind of stuff, but I ain't got time for that. I done burned too many brain cells trying to be diplomatic. I'm telling you, I have Wendy Williams moments. Say it like you mean it. Y'all ain't have. And here's the one thing, I don't, listen, you don't ever want to roll up on a dude like me and tell me, my members know that don't tell me this because you're going to get it. Don't go roll up and tell me, Bishop, I just want you to know I'm with you as long as you're right. Because I tell them, you might as well go and leave now. Because at some point, I'm going to be wrong. And I don't need somebody just going to be with me when I'm right. Listen, I wouldn't even be married today if my wife was only with me when I was right. There's 1,000,001 times a week that I say, no, baby, it's like this. She said, no, honey, it's like that. I said, no, it's like this. Only to have to come back and say, you know what? You were right. And then the question that I have for people that will tell me I'm with you as long as you're right, I ask them this. What if Jesus felt like you feel? What if he said to you, Mr. or Mrs., I'm with you long as you're right. I'm with you as long as you're right. You've been dead a long time ago. Because what they're really saying is, I'm with you as long as you don't have issues. Watch this. Watch this. Having a life-changing moment does not come because you are void of issues. Having a life-changing moment comes because you acknowledge your issue and you are void of excuses. Okay, I'm going to try that again. It's not because you're void of issues. It ain't because you got everything together, but it's because you know what you're working with. Okay, y'all, don't do me like that. Don't be sitting up in here playing me like you don't know who you are. If I go to call in the roll, I'm going to find you somewhere. It may not be in the absolute. It may not be in the weed, but it's going to be somewhere. And the problem and the reason why we don't go any further than we go is because we play games with our issues. You got to be true with yourself. You got to know what you're working with. And when you know what you're working with, then you can deal with it. Just because I got married don't mean I stopped liking women. And because I know that, I don't put myself in certain places. And I carry my wife with me so that the temple whores don't trap me. Just got to know what you're working with. Look at your neighbor. Tell your neighbor you got to know what you're working with. Not mean you're not void of issues. You say, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's right there. It's right there. It's right there in the text. It's right there. I promise it's right there in the text. Here it is. He has an extreme interest. He wants to see Jesus. His extreme interest is he wants to see Jesus. Please understand this. This is why it's important that you have an interest. Because once you have an interest, it will highlight your issues. Okay, you say, I don't get it. It's right there. I promise it's right there. Watch this. He sought to see Jesus, who he was, his interest, and could not for the press because he was little of stature, his issue. Okay, you didn't get it? Here it is. He wanted to see Jesus. That was his interest. He couldn't because he was short. Okay. Issues are highlighted when there is an interest. And whenever you have an extreme interest and you really look like you're hungry to have what it is you are interested about, now your issues are going to come up. And the precipitation of issues many times come with people. Him being shot would not have been an issue if it wasn't for the people. See, that's why I said all them folk that talking about I'm with you when you write. And with you. Listen. It's easy for folk to talk about what they wouldn't do when there are no people. But if you want to impress me, show me what you do when people are involved. Okay, let me see if I can make sense out of this. Listen, ain't no sense of you talking about somebody else because of their issues, you know, because they had something to happen and they got into some kind of situation. And especially, you know, especially in our group, if it has anything to do with a physiological episode, if two people come together and always in that situation, there's always somebody saying, well, I just don't understand how that happened. Well, you wouldn't, because you are void of people. Okay? It's easy to be faithful, true. It's easy to be celibate when nobody wants you. You ain't celibate by choice. You celibate by force. Okay, but let there be a long line of folk that want you and you turn them down. Then come talk to me. Make me sick. Always the ugliest folk in the world want dog folk. Existing issues. Look at your neighbor and tell you, I just want the truthful folk in here. Now, I ain't fooling with the rest of you. I want the truthful folk in here that can tap your neighbor and tell your neighbor, I got some existing issues. Got some existing issues. I just want the folk in here that know that while you are saved, sanctified, and full of the Holy Ghost, if somebody push you too far, you may speak in tongues that are unknown, and you may speak in tongues that's known. It's just all about who shows up first. I come to tell you that even the things that I have been delivered of, I don't play no games with that. I don't go into Rhema trying to get them to believe that I've been perfect all of my life or even perfect now. I can't say that some of you have to, I ain't never drinking, I ain't ever smoking, and I ain't ever, well, that ain't my testimony. I don't have an I ain't never testimony, but I do have I ain't done it lately testimony. Look at your neighbor. Tell your neighbor, I know what I'm working with. Chris, we got to go. Look at one more neighbor and tell them that I know my existing issues. And tell them that I know that God is not through in me. Yes, Lord, because I heard the old saints say, please be patient with me. God is not through in me yet. When he gets through with me, I shall come forth as pure gold. Lean over and shake your neighbor's hand and tell your neighbor, neighbor, I want you to know that I may not be what I should be, but thank God I'm nothing that I used to be, because I had an interest, an extreme interest. Look at your neighbor and tell them there's one more thing that I need for you to know, that not only must there be an extreme interest, but the extreme interest would lead you to deal with your existing issues, because the Bible says that he was short, and rather than making excuses, he dealt with his existing issues. The Bible says he ran and climbed. Yes, Lord. And I came to tell somebody today that that's what you got to do when people want to keep you tied to your existing issues. Move forward and go higher. Y'all ain't happy. Lean over and tell somebody, move forward and go higher. You do know that the only way to kill a snake is to put him in high altitude. Yeah, so move forward and go higher. And I got to close, but the Bible says he ran and he climbed up a sycamore tree. And you gotta know that the interesting thing is that a sycamore tree does not have leaves at the bottom. They're all at the top, and so therefore he didn't have nothing to pull up on. And some of y'all, your excuse is, I don't have anything to help me. But sometimes you just got to wrap yourself around the situation and scoot up a little at a time. You ain't happy? Tell your neighbor, wrap yourself around it and scoot up a little at a time. And he climbed up the sycamore tree. Finally, he got to the top, and it leads me to my last point. If you go ahead and just deal with your existing issues, you're getting ready in 2014 to have an extraordinary invitation. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, you're getting ready to have an extraordinary invitation. I heard the Bible say, I heard the Bible Bible say that Jesus, yes, Lord, without the coercion of his disciples, without the coercion of the crowd, he stopped where he was and looked up and saw Zacchaeus. For all of y'all that feel like you've been flying beneath the radar, he knows where you are. Go find somebody and push on him and tell him he knows exactly where you are. Now here's the thing that make me want to throw down the mic and run up Lee Road screaming to the top of your lungs. Not only does he know where I am, but he knows what I need. Y'all ain't happy. Tell your neighbor, 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 not only does he know where I am, but he knows just what I need. Anybody? Anybody that know he knows, throw your arm around somebody. Tell them he knows. And I got to get out of here, but I heard the Bible say that he looked up in the tree and said to Zacchaeus, Zacchaeus. Now y'all ought to got happy right there. Chan, the problem with the saints is that we don't know when to shout, because the unspoken of the text is that Jesus had never been formally introduced to Zacchaeus, yet he called him by his name. And I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm glad that ain't nobody got to tell Jesus who I am. He knows me. Y'all ain't happy. He knows me. He knows me. He knows my ups and he knows my downs. He knows my insight and he knows my issues. Is there anybody that can tell your neighbor he knows? I got to get out of here, but I heard him say, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down. Y'all ain't happy. When I was reading that text, I was sitting right there in that chair, and the brother was dancing, and the music and the song was speaking to the same things that the Lord was saying to me. He said, Steve Hall, what you don't understand is when I told Zacchaeus to come down, I was really telling him to come up. Y'all ain't happy. And what you got to understand is that sometimes what seems like down is really up. They broke your heart and it made you feel down, but it's really up. You lost your job and you think it's down, but it's really up. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, it may feel down, it may look down, but it's really up. Somebody say, how do you know? Here's how I know. Romans 8 and 28 says, and we know that all things work together for the good of those that love him and call according to his purpose. And all I want to know is, do you love him? If you love him, let me hear you say aye. Say aye. Yeah. Tell your neighbor, I may look like I'm going down, but don't turn off the TV yet. I said, don't turn off the TV yet. Say, why not? Because even when the devil is trying to create havoc in your life, if you love him, God is better than Olivia Pope. He can come into your scandal, clean it up before anybody ever knows the difference. Tell your neighbor, he's working it out. Yeah, he's working it out. Yeah. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but in 2014, I am going to have I'm going to have some life-changing moments. So what are you trying to say, Bishop? I didn't come into this room to Marvelous Light to tell you Happy New Year's. I came in here to tell you Happy New You. Look at your neighbor. Tell your neighbor, I've already told you Happy New Year's. But tell them, I really want to tell you Happy New You. My wife loves color purple. And this is a color purple moment. Miss Seeley said things around here about to change. I came to speak prophetically over Marvelous Light and to tell you, I don't care what the devil said. I don't care what the enemy is saying. Things around here are about to change for the better. Now, I need some of y'all to do like Zacchaeus. I need you to move and climb. I need you to get out of that place that you've been standing in all night. Go find some folk all over the building and tell them I came across the room to prophesy to you and to me at the same time that things around here are about to change for the better.
Yes, I told you it was going to be amazing. Thank you again for tuning in. Join us next week, same time, same place. God bless.